Alright. I should be live. Alright, hello everybody. Hello. Welcome to, I guess, this episode. I wasn't intending this to be a series, but I suppose this is the second open mic conversation regarding 40k related stuff. Who knows, maybe this will become a regular thing. I didn't expect it to, but I felt that the last one was pretty cool, pretty conducive to a nice conversation. And with this recent announcement we have just received about the squats, they have returned. And at first I thought it was an April Fool's joke. When I saw it in my recommended, as well as just a quick roundup for anybody who doesn't know, GW today released a video showcasing the squats. Well, I believe they're squats. Yeah, because they have to be, because I can't remember if they actually said it in the video that they're squats, but they're obviously dwarves. And as everybody knows who's at all a fan of the 40k lore, the squats are basically sci-fi dwarves, or the Dawi from Warhammer Fantasy. However, for whatever reason, GW nixed them years ago, and the lore explanation was they were all eaten by Tyranids. And the fan base has been demanding and crying for, and by the way, I'm sorry that old image is still there. Let me replace that. 1 second. Yeah, this is a bit of an impromptu stream as well, so allow me to fix that real quick. Yeah, real quick. Boom. Boom. Alright, there we go. Fix the image. But yes, USS Crushing. Welcome to the stream. Yes, we are getting squats back. I thought it was an April Fool's joke initially, but it's a GW released a video today around lunchtime my time, so a couple hours ago, announcing that the squats are indeed returning. And if at first the reason I thought it was April Fool's is because I thought it was a day old video because it was in my recommendeds, but no, it had been uploaded today, 23 minutes before I had watched it. So they intentionally delayed it, and they even in the video said definitively, yes, we are bringing them back. This is not an April Fool's joke. They are returning. And holy shit, like that, this is a major announcement. And so, given how much the player base and the fan base have wanted squats to return, and this has been long demanded, there's a couple questions I have for the community regarding this. So hence why we're doing the open mic conversation here and now. So keep in mind, there is a link in the description below for anybody who wants to jump in on the open mic to the Discord server. Just jump into the VC chat just called Call Line. It's going to be the only one under the category caller lines. And there's going to be an invisible call I am currently in where I will pull you guys in and we can have a conversation about this latest announcement. So I will pull that up right now. Make sure it's there. Yes. Boom. All right. So if you guys want to hop in, again, let me real quick here. Let me do this. Real quick. I'm going to copy and paste the link in the chat for those who want to join in on the convo. And I will wait for people to hop into the call line. Now, keep in mind, there is a bug. If you're going to call in with your phone, like a proper radio show, just know if you're running an Android, there's a weird glitch with the Discord app where sometimes it won't let you hop in. Or there's a glitch where if I pull you into a call, which I'm going to have to because I don't want to just have anybody free reign jump into this one call. I want to bring in one person at a time. Sometimes that causes you to be muted and your audio not to be heard by other people. So just keep that in mind. That might happen. It's not a guaranteed glitch. As far as I know, it just happens from time to time. So hopefully we'll be able to combat it. Regardless, the call lines are open, and I got my 3 questions ready, and I will pose them now generally to the chat. So my questions are, and I will be answering these myself, or I will try to. I should probably try to before anyone jumps in the call line, just so you guys know my thoughts before you jump in with your own. Not that my thoughts should affect yours in any way, of course, but the 3 questions I'm going to be posing to the community are quite simple. Question 1. What are your thoughts on the announcement of the return of the squats? And for in the case of USS Crushing, you probably just heard that today. Just heard about it through this, which is interesting. Question number 2. What will be the results of this? Ergo, increased sales, returning players who had dropped the game with renewed interest, better fan to company will between us and GW, because that has been increasingly deteriorating over time. And question 3, will you be purchasing any squats or wait for 3D printable proxies? Now, that is a question more, I'm asking more with the interest of just seeing where people are at. Like, that question for me is going to be the biggest one to really indicate the goodwill for this. Because if people more often than not say, and I'm expecting three answers to this question. Yes, I will purchase it from GW. This has earned some goodwill from me. I think this is worth a purchase and a thank you note from me. The second answer I'm expecting is no, I will not. This has not undone any of the bad stuff that GW has done. This has not fixed any of the bad will that I have received as a consumer. And the third answer I'm expecting to receive is in regards to kind of like the middle ground. It's like, I will wait for I'm not sure if I will or not. It'll depend on the cost. If they are not a super expensive set of units, I will buy them. If they are super expensive, I will wait for 3D proxies. That's kind of the gray answer I'm expecting as well. I'll be surprised if I get anything out of those three, but I'm very much welcoming different perspectives, and I keep in mind all three of these questions are very open-ended. If you want to ask me any questions when I pull you into the line, feel free to. This includes my biases, this includes my, if you want me to clarify my answers to these questions or anything like that, feel free to ask me questions, of course. And yeah, alright, so real quick, I'll just zoom through the most simplistic versions of my answers, and feel free to ask me for more clarification if these are not enough for my answers. What are my thoughts on the announcement of the Space Return? I'm excited. I think it's cool. However, I would be lying if I said I was 100% down for this and I was 100% confident that the way they're going to be re-implemented lore-wise is going to be done well. Because right now I'm hearkening back to how they handled Primaris Marines and how they were added to the lore. And in my opinion, how horribly they were added to the lore. How horribly they were explained. And they're really rough entry into the lore. Primaris, how badly that was handled. I have very little confidence in GW's writing team nowadays. That's my personal opinion, based on the stuff I've read, based on the newer lore versus the older lore. A lot of retcons and inconsistencies, and also again, Primaris is the closest example we have to like a rapid inclusion, like miniature wise, and then quickly afterwards we got a bunch of like offhanded like here's some lore explanation. So I'm excited. I'm happy that they're being re-added, and I'm happy that we're gonna be seeing them on the tabletop again. However, I'm not expecting much on the lore front for their inclusion. I'm expecting well, they weren't all eaten by the Tyranids, and then kind of move on from that, and then later down the road, when people bitch enough, they'll actually properly explain what happened. Question number 2, what will be the results of this? Ergo, increased sales, returning players, better fan will. I think this, and this is probably going to be the unpopular opinion, I think this will result in increased sales, obviously. New mini, that's kind of a given with new minis. All the time, no matter what, there will always be increased sales when the new set of minis are added. Especially with how much the fan base has missed squats. This is major. People have wanted them back for years. People have been fucking demanding them for a long time. And if we're getting them now, people are going to buy them. And a lot of people are not going to want to wait for 3D proxies, even if they are the type to prefer 3D printed minis just because of the money it saves. So I do think this will, no matter what, will result in increased sales. The thing about returning players, I think that one's one I'm kind of shaky on. I see some people, I see some people who might have like dropped 40k, maybe looking at this and thinking it over, but I don't know as if the addition of squats is going to fix a lot of the fundamental things that caused plenty of people to quit recently. So that is kind of up in the air. And then, Better Fan will... I think that will. I think of the players who are currently still invested in 40k, this is going to be nothing but a positive. It's the people who are kind of on the edge of quitting or have already quit that this probably isn't going to do much to fix the bad will. And the final question, will you be purchasing any squats or wait for 3D printable proxies? For me, I'm the gray answer to this question. I'm going to wait for the price tag. If the price tag is a lot for you and they're not super great units, or I feel I can 3D design and 3D print my own, like that, I'll probably just make proxies, to be honest. But I have the luxury of knowing how to 3D sculpt and 3D... I'm a 3D artist, and, you know, I have the willpower to do that, to save myself money. But if they're not super expensive... And the fact that I've been really desperate for having squats back, because I loved them in the lore, like a lot of the fan base have. I think, you know, if they're cheap enough, I'd consider purchasing it back. Just because, as much as I hate GW sometimes, I hate to use this analogy, but it kind of works here. When the dog does well, you reward him, right? If the dog does bad, you stick his nose in it. This is one of those cases where, even if you don't like GW, you gotta at least consider, if we want 40k to be good, and have good things happen in the hobby, and have good things that support the community and support our stuff, we want them to do good. So we should give them an attaboy.
More gil for the cause.
When they do good stuff. Thank you, Ball, for the super chat, man. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Bring back the land train for the squats. I mean, they might... And the thing is, I don't know a lot of details. It doesn't seem... I didn't see any Warhammer community posts yet about this. If somebody has seen one, please send me a link so I can pull it up. But a lot of the intricate details of what units they're going to be revitalizing with, I have not seen yet. We just seen the one unit in the trailer they put up on their channel. Outside of that, I haven't seen any kind of detailed announcement. But there might be one up in the Warhammer community page. I will look for that later. Alright, so that's kind of the quick rattle off of my answers to these questions. Again, if you want more clarification, just when you jump in the call line, or if you jump in the call line, feel free to ask me that right then and there. Alright, so I'm going to start pulling people in. Nobody is waiting in call line yet, but down below in Sleeper's Den, which is another one of my VCs, but I got a bunch of people down there. So, yeah, everybody who joined the server who's in the Sleeper's Den call, who wants to be in the call line, keep in mind you got to go up to the call line VC, because I don't want to just start yanking people out of that chat, because I don't know if the people down there are genuinely, like, want me to bring them in. So, yeah, if you're in the Discord, just kind of scroll up to the caller lines, and there should be, like, what you see is just a lone VC line called call line. Just hop in there, and I'll pull you right in. In the meantime, while I wait for people to do that, to be honest, I never thought that Sisters of Battle will get anything cool, and now you got Sisters Baby Carrier Gundam. Oof. Oh, we got FEL. Right. Here we go, we got our first caller. Hello, Afiel?
Yes. Hi.
How you doing?
I guess pretty fine. I'm painting some miniatures for Horus Heresy.
Awesome. So, is there anything you want to say? Introduce yourself a little bit before I go into the questions, or you just want to hop right into them?
Yeah, I mean, I played 40k since, I don't know, 3rd edition or something. I started with my dad back then.
Nice.
And a friend of my dad actually has squads, and I talked to him today, and he's like, what the fuck? I waited so long for this, and now I'm like I'm in retirement, and now I get squads back.
I'm sure that was a bit of a surprise for him. I guess to respond in kind, so you know my background. I've been in the hobby for about the last 10 years. So around 6th or 7th edition is when I hopped into the hobby. I I have not been, obviously, a decade sounds impressive to the layman who's not been in the hobby very long, but you yourself say you started in 3rd edition, which is, would that be late 80s or early 90s?
Somewhere in between. I mean, the edition I started playing was 3rd edition because it was the only codex that you can get in my home country back then.
Oh,
because
okay.
we were a little bit, laid back with new stuff.
Okay. Yeah. Point is, you've definitely been in the hobby longer than me. So I'll just kind of throw the 3 questions at you, and I'm very curious to hear your responses. So question number 1, what are your thoughts on the announcement of the return of the squats? Just like generally, positive, negative, what's your overall thoughts?
I mean, I was just like, oh, okay, it's an April Fool's joke. Like, what was it a few years ago with the special water for painting or something like that?
I think so, yes.
Like 1 or 2 years ago, that the special like the water for thinning paints, it's like special water.
Magic water.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, it's an April Fool's joke. And then actually they released squads, and I was like, oh my god. So when GW actually says, we make an April Fool's joke and bring stuff, and then I think, like, as a Blood Angels player, maybe I get my assault squad back as a standard unit or as like a baseline unit. So if squads are coming back, then the sky is the limit, I would say, because I never thought I would see space dwarfs again.
I definitely did not see this coming back at all. It kind of came out of the blue. Like, I don't know if like anybody else maybe have heard leaks or rumors. I've heard nothing. Like, for me, it was one moment I was just thinking squats would never come back, and then I see that in my recommendeds, and it's not only, it was uploaded today, so it's after April Fool's, and they have confirmed, no, they are bringing squats back proper. Like,
to be honest,
it's mind-boggling.
I think when in the last few days or something like it, or weeks, it was like, oh, the Tyranid spoilers, the Tyranid leaks, ooh. And everyone was, oh, that's too much leak, and I thought, okay, maybe there's so much fuss, then maybe everyone was like not able to see squad leaks, because everyone was going hyped about Tyranids and the new stuff.
True. And the thing
there
is,
was a shadow in the leaks, no?
Yeah. The thing is, it's actually kind of fitting, with the Tyranid hype, considering in the lore up till now, the explanation that the squats is vanishing or extermination is what we thought for the longest time was that they got invaded by the Tyranids and got wiped out. So I'm curious how they're going to handle the lore aspect of this. Like, as I already mentioned, my kind of apprehension with how they're going to handle the lore is, I'm hearkening back to how they handled Primaris, which I thought they handled very poorly. So I'm not sure how they're going to...
Primaris was like the reason in the hobby club where I live, we had like 3 or 4 buddies, and we 3 of these buddies were like schoolmates from me. And we were like one Space Wolves player and one Dark Angels player, and actually both of them were brothers, and they were always quarreling, always punching, and always like angry at each other while playing. Maybe because they're brothers, maybe because of the Dark Angels and Space Wolves thing.
Possibly.
But when Primaris were released, they were so mad. It's like, okay, I can take all my collection and just trash it in the bin, because it's just, okay, yeah, all your collection is now useless. Have fun. GG. And the story was, the Primaris release story was so bad, and it was also in the same way bad like the Stormcast Eternals in Age of Sigmar.
You almost said Age of Shitmar, didn't you?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. I heard the shit. No. Like, yeah.
I mean, wasn't in the Age of Sigmar first edition or something like run around the table, yell at your enemy?
Yeah, they had some really goofy stuff in there.
And Age of Sigmar was like, okay, there, in some background book there was a Stormcast Eternal, and actually that Stormcast Eternal was Cetra, and he died in somewhere when Archeon off-screened him. So Cetra was a Stormcast Eternal, and then he got off-screened.
That sucks. I mean, off-screening always sucks. It's very annoying. Okay. So yeah, overall,
I mean, to be honest, I like that GW actually releases stuff that player want, for better or worse. But there's so much stuff they did to the players that they have to regain the trust, and there's massive trust issues. And also there's another issue with how to say it in English. The stuff like regular and loyal customers do is not like in any way, shape or form appreciated by GW, and everything they do is like, 24/7 all this Warhammer Plus commercial and Warhammer Plus, and it's like, I mean, seriously, I go watch a lore video or something on YouTube, and that's better than everything on Warhammer Plus. And it's like, I actually wrote to GW an email and said, can I have like a 2 days booking for Warhammer Plus? And they ask why. Because in 2 days I'm finished with all the stuff and then don't need to pay for the rest of the month.
Yeah. I don't know about right now. Is it still like that now, or do you not have it anymore?
The only thing is like Angels of Death, and there's a little bit stuff about Tau and Imperial Titans, and that's it actually. I mean, people are more hyped about the Horus Heresy trailer than stuff from Warhammer Plus.
I definitely got to do an open mic night about Warhammer Plus, because I have some thoughts about it. I voiced them before. I have a very negative opinion of Warhammer Plus, but I won't go into that right now. Try and keep things a little on track here. All right. So overall, would you say you're positive? You'd say like a little bit more leaning towards that, or you're more neutral? Would you say?
To the squads, I'm positive.
Okay.
Because I just like new and more like armies and stuff. It's not. I mean, I play Blood Angels and I play them since the 3rd edition, but I also have a Death Corps army. I got some Eldari. No, Eldar. Sorry, Eldari is the funky new stuff.
Yeah.
And actually, my Eldari, the army was taken by my daughter, and she plays with them now. So.
Oh, that's awesome. I always love hearing that.
Yeah, she's totally into Howling Bands.
Corrupt the next generation. Prepare them for the hobby.
My daughter was super hyped when new Elder releases were announced because the Elder Guardians didn't age well.
Real quick, David Francisco, this is an open mic, by the way, bro. If you want to jump in the call and kind of give your opinions, feel free to. Feel free to jump into the Discord. I provide the link in the chat. If you scroll up, it's also in the description of the stream. So if you want to give I see you chatting up a storm. I will read those after this call, but just know that if you want to like get out your full thoughts, that is an option that is available to you, bro. Sorry about that. So, all right. So, question number 2: what will be the results of this? Do you think there will be increased sales, returning players, even potentially? Do you think it's that significant? Do you think it'll increase fan will by any stretch, and by how much? You know, generally, what do you think the overall results of it will be?
I think fan will increase because people were yelling for Sisters of Battle for so long, and now they finally got Sisters of Battle. They were yelling for squads, and they actually get something. And so people who were adamant in, I want Space Dwarfs, they were like, hey, GW finally does something for me. They will think in more or less in that kind of way, and I think it will help sales, the sales stocks, but I don't think it will help with newer players or something, because squads is more or less a faction for lovers who are in love with Space Dwarfs.
Yeah, that'll definitely cause a curve to like how much of an impact this will have. But yeah, I agree that this is definitely like a legacy player kind of. That's a weird term to use, I suppose. But a veteran player of the hobby, this matters more to than newer players. This certainly I don't think anyway will attract a lot of new players wholesale, but it does. Actually, I think I could be wrong in that regard, possibly, because for some people who might be getting into the hobby, and who might have been leaning more towards Warhammer Fantasy, just because they like, maybe specifically they have like a niche for dwarves. This might, for people who just have like that specific niche, which Granted, that's probably not going to be a tidal wave of support, but that's that's at least going to be a notable like tinge in possible new player influence is having Space Dwarves. But Squats traditionally aren't their own whole faction. They've usually been backing up Astra Militarum, which again I haven't seen any community posts going over all the details, but I'm assuming that's the role they're going to be taking up again. Is they're just part of it.
It's what I read from the community post. It was something about
it was a
like
community post.
faction. On Warhammer community, there was they wrote something about this dwarf faction and they are a lost part of humanity, and they some Mechanicum guys would see them as heretics for the technical stuff they kept from the Age of Strife, and they have bigger issues than fighting with the Imperium because there is Xenos and Chaos stuff going on. Right. So I don't know if they're like I don't think they're like an auxiliary troop like Ogrins or Halflings or something. They're like more or less with some kind of app-human, and it's a bit weird.
Okay.
It's like the Facebook like relationship status. It's complicated.
If they're their own wholesale faction, this could be very interesting.
I mean, I came from. I played Blood Angels in a time when Necrons were best buddies with the Blood Angels, so. I mean, that was the thing when Blood Angels and Necrons were fist bumping while killing Xenos.
I mean, I didn't mishear you. You did say Necrons, right?
Yeah, Necrons and Blood Angels.
For a second, I was like, did I mishear?
No, that was the Mad War time of lore writing.
Right. That always sounds so nutty. Alright. So I got other people in the call. So, will you be purchasing any of the squats or wait for 3D printable proxies?
I guess it depends on how the pricing is.
Alright.
Because it's
so you're like me. You want to see the price tag first.
Yeah, because it's like when Indomitus box was released, the pricing was okay for the content, and was when the Elder Dark Omen box was released, the pricing was like seriously.
Yeah.
And if the box is like 5 squads and a commander, and they want like 150 euros or dollars or whatever, and it's like nope.
Yeah, I will say this based on like how GW has handled the pricing of new releases of anything, whether it's just new box sets like combat patrols or brand new units like we've seen with the new orc models that came out. There was the new Eldari models. They always increase the price, or they especially when box sets are newer, they always put a bigger price tag on them. And I think with this, this army is not going to be cheap. Like that's certainly where I'm standing right now. Is I don't think that this will be cheap by any standpoint. So I'm leaning towards fairly large price tags when it comes. I could be wrong, but GW aren't known for making a big announcement like this and selling new minis and then having them have what I would call a fair price. But
I think you will be right, because the Elder Jet Bike unit with the Lances, I don't know the English term or the English name, something Bright Javelins or something. I bought my daughter a box of 5. They costed like 30 euros, and now they're like 3 in a box for 50 euros.
Yeah, and recently they just upped their prices across the board, right? So add that on top of this. So, yeah, I don't know. I definitely, with that in mind, I definitely think I'm leaning towards waiting for 3D proxies or making my own, which I will not be selling. GW, don't take down the stream and claim I'm trying to resell your shit. I'm not. I'd be making my own for me.
To be honest, if it's like Indomitus, it would be okay, because it was 20 or 30 Marines, 50 Necrons for 150 euros.
Yeah, if they release a big like a Battle Force-esque box,
like the Battle Sister box, there was Battle Sisters, Repensias, Dominatrix. Oh no, they're not Dominatrix anymore today. There's something different. The Whip Ladies. like Canoness and Seraphims and stuff. So it was a fairly decent box.
Yeah. I know, if it is something like that, where it's a individual box sets, though, for the units, for squats, I'm going to throw out the prediction those are going to be, again, by my standards, kind of an unfair initial, like, price hike. But that's based on what I've seen for their trends in the last decade of being a hobbyist. So yeah. Alright. So yeah, that's my 3 questions. Thank you for calling, man. I wish I could hold you on the line and ask you some any other bonus questions. Before I let you go, do you have any questions for me?
No, it's actually pretty fine. I mean, sometimes I wished for more Final Fantasy streams, but
I stream Final Fantasy all the time, bro.
yeah.
I mean, come on. Like, just go on the channel page. You can clearly see I've streamed it a lot lately.
Yeah, it's like I'm like always when I'm playing Final Fantasy, I watch the stream while waiting for dungeon invites and stuff like that. And the last few days, dungeon invites were like, hey, it says 10 minutes until invite, 25 minutes in queue.
Yeesh. Or, yeah, DPS queues are the worst, man.
Actually, it was a healer queue.
You had to wait 10 minutes for healer queue?
Yep. Everyone's leveling tank right now, so no DPS.
Right. Fair enough. that still surprises me. Healers usually have quick queues. Yeah, I don't worry. I'm trying to stream more, but keep in mind to keep myself afloat, I'm back working full time, so I can't stream as much as I did before. But I am trying to fit in FF14 streams where I can. But I'm glad you're enjoying them. I'm glad you want more of them.
Yeah, maybe someday I will get you in a match of Battle Sector 40k on Steam.
That'd be cool. All right, thank you so much, man. And I'm gonna pull in the next person.
Have a good night.
You have a good night as well. All right, Captain Caboose, you're up next.
Yay!
Yay!
Yeah, let me just mute the stream.
Huh?
Muting your stream.
Oh, okay. So. You said mute the stream.
Yeah.
I don't know. I heard beat the stream. I'm like, what? Is it a race? What's going on?
Oh yeah, let's do this. I'm gonna beat the stream. First to million.
All right. So you want to say anything before I jump into the questions, or just want to hop into the questions?
No, just hop right in there.
Alrighty. All right. So question number 1: what are your thoughts on the announcement of the return of the squats? Like your general thoughts, your feelings, positive, negative.
Well, I think it's about time we got another kill team box, and I think that's all they're going to be.
You think these are only going to be kill team?
Yeah, I think they're only going to be part of the kill team. I mean, everybody got, oh my god, plastic DKOK. They're going to release the entire line.
That's
we got
perspective.
a squad.
Right, and that is something fair, definitely to note. Is we've only seen, at least in the trailer they showed, like one squad. So
yeah,
it could be definitely. There's a lot of credence to what you're saying. Is that it could just end up being kill team. I will say that will take a lot of wind out of a lot of people's sails. Again, I haven't seen any community posts. There probably is one about the squats. I probably should pull it up, but yeah, that is a fair thing to bring up. Is that if it does end up being a kill team set, people will still probably buy it, especially the kill team folks, because at least they're getting squats back in some degree. But actual like full-fledged 40k players, that'll I think that would it won't backfire as badly as if it was a full-on like April Fool's joke. Like that would just not go over well.
No,
it will.
That model is too well put together and detailed. They're going to do something with him, just like they did with Necromunda. Necromunda has squats too.
Necromunda. It's Necromunda.
Necromunda, same thing.
Tomato.
But you know what I'm saying is they had a squat character before anything else. They've been teasing squats for ever.
I haven't really seen any teasing of squats though. I've seen fans demand for squats, absolutely, but
there've always been like little hints in the lore stuff, little throwaway things in books that, oh, I wonder what that meant. You know, you're like, oh, wait a minute, that was a reference to the squat. You know, it they're going to take a lot of their goodwill away if it's not a full-on army, but at the same time, if it's a full-on army, don't do it like you did with Plastic Sisters. Have the entire range ready to go. Don't put out a book, then 3 months later put out another book because you just added one tank.
Phil Campbell, thank you for hopping in the stream. The community post says it's going to be a complete faction. Alright, so if it's going to be a complete faction, that implies it's more than Kill Team. Unless they're saying it's a full faction for Kill Team.
Yeah, complete faction. That could be anything from
Hold on, let me
a couple of squads to, a Space Marine range.
Right. Now that I know there is a community post, before I keep asking people questions about this, because I might add a question based on the community post, let me pull that up real quick before I ask you the other questions and read it off. Alright, so I pulled up the community post. What April Fools? The 41st Millennium's next faction is real. Here's a model to prove it. Alright, so I'll read the whole thing through, and then I'll continue with the call. Sorry to interrupt your call with this. Don't worry, I'll still get to the other questions.
It is what it is.
Alright. It has come to our attention that yesterday's stunning reveal of the next Warhammer 40,000 faction fell on an unfortunate date. This was an honest mistake that absolutely anyone could have made. To make it up to you, we have a rather special announcement. They're real! And it shows the trailer. Yes, they're really real. In an April Fool's double bluff that had Tzeentch himself scratching his feathered head, humanity's long-lost cousins actually are making their return in the 41st Millennium as a full Warhammer 40,000 faction. And while those nasty Necromundans still call them squats, that's not at all how they refer to themselves. These warriors have a long and proud martial history, and those who aren't on their bad side, they're known as the Leagues of Votann, though they refer to themselves as kin. Although their civilization shares common roots with humanity, blah, 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 okay, it says Lord Tidbits. Okay, the Leagues of Votann are coming to Warhammer 40,000 later this year, but there are still a solid few months to go before we get a good look at their advanced force. In the meantime, we'll be sharing a huge amount of info about the new faction and their place in the 41st Millennium. Alright, so yeah, the wording of that does imply to me that they are a full faction for 40k.
Well, if they are, cool. But do it the right way. Don't do it half-assed like you did with the Sisters. I mean, the Sisters got a lot of plastic models, yes. But they had a lot of things they were missing, and then 2 months later, all the stuff that was missing came out. It was like, you couldn't have waited 2 more months?
True. And that is the thing. There is something to be argued, though, with a trickle in of the minis, is you could make the argument that as they're kind of working at the edge of their bootstraps, they might have been working on them all that time, trying to make them the best that they possibly can be, and were releasing them periodically as they were ready. I would definitely make the argument, though, that if that is how that they were handling that, then they should have just waited till they were ready, like to have everything come out at once. Because I think that is a better business model. Of course, I say that as, with my plan with Warglaive Gothic, is I'm going to be trickling stuff out, but the difference there is they're a company with a full staff and a budget. I'm an indie game maker, and I'm by myself. So I suppose I have an excuse there, but maybe I shouldn't be the one saying that, as that's my plan. Regardless, yeah, so with that added information, I will hop into the next question. What will be the results of this? Do you see increased sales, returning players, better fan will? What's the extent of the results of this announcement and the arrival of the squats back into the game?
Honestly, probably nothing.
You think nothing will happen?
I just don't. I think it's... Yeah, if you're going to do it, you're going to have to do it with enough models to support it. You're going to have to do it with the equivalency of a small army, but an army that's well-rounded. Because when's the last time you've seen anything about the Gene Stealer cults? Oh, new faction coming out, Gene Stealer cards. And they've had nothing for 3 years.
Would you accept the argument, though, that squats have a bit more, with veterans, they have a bit more of a soft spot towards them than Because I would place forth this argument that though Gene Stealer cults are objectively cool, the Mad Max vibe, the kind of the ruggedness of them, and the fact that they're a sub-faction with Tyranids, a lot of people think they're cool, but you already have to be a fan of the Tyranids and like the Tyranids and probably have them as your main faction to also like the Gene Stealer cults. I could be totally off base with that, but whereas with Space Dwarves, you could probably be a fan of Warhammer Fantasy and have no interest in 40k, but if you really love dwarves, this might be like that olive branch to check out 40k for some people. Not to mention you have the Old Guard veteran fans who were massive fans of squats, and having them removed was a huge letdown, and having them come back might be a huge boon. I do think there's an argument to be placed that there's more of a soft spot for Space Dwarves / the squats than there are for Gene Stealer cults.
I think that Old Guard is long gone. Squats disappeared in the 90s, like early 90s.
Right. I never got to enjoy them in the hobby, that's for sure. But I love them in the lore, so for me, I'm positive from that angle. I don't think they're going to handle the lore well, to be honest. But no. I am excited to see them on the tabletop, potentially.
Yeah, but again, it all comes down to how they're going to do it. You know, it's like, okay, cool squats. We got some really cool stylized squads. And look, Chimera's Lehman Russ Basilisk. Yay. No, I want their battle trains. I want their floating freaking battleships. I want all of their stuff that they had. I want that. Oh, no, look. Lehman Russ again. Yay. Another Basilisk kit. Yay.
Let me pose you the positive what if then. Let me add to my 3 questions here. What if, in the most optimistic outset, they do release squats with, like, that full aesthetical, like, wholesale revival of the faction? They give them their own tanks. They give them their own mechs.
Oh, shut up and take my money.
All right, so okay, so in the most in that optimistic view, you would totally be down for
definitely. I do like squats. I'd like another army. And I do like the squats. I like the lore behind the squats, but they have to do it right. And unfortunately, nothing GW has done in the last 5 years have been done really well. Don't get me wrong. I like the new Sisters of Battle. They're really good models. Really good force for the price.
The only thing I think that looks kind of silly is their walkers, but that's just me.
Well, I understand why they had to censor their walkers. Because their original walker was just a naked broad, quite literally chained to a board. You know,
definitely doesn't go over as well these days.
No, I understand why they had to do that, but yeah. I agree with you. It's the baby carrier 3.0.
Yeah, I find it silly, but I get why they had to do it, and I get why some folks even like the design. So yeah, I suppose that kind of answers the 3rd question, but I'll still like pose it just in case you want to embellish it a little bit. Will you be purchasing any squats or wait for 3D printable proxies?
Little column A, little column B, honestly.
Well, would you say like me and I'm so sorry, bro. I already need to double check his name. Afiel. Like me and Afiel, are you more on the I'm not sure until I see the price tag kind of thing, or?
No, price really isn't a thing right now for what I do for a living.
Right.
But it's like,
so for you, it's more like the miniature quality and like what the range is going to look like.
Yeah, and GW's quality is just shit right now. Their quality control just sucks. When you can see, look at this brand new model that's coming out. You look closely and you see the 3D printing lines that they couldn't fix or clean up.
But you kind of can't. Because depending on the 3D... Well, the thing is, with resin printing in particular, each layer is literally yanked off of a plastic screen. So, it's literally those lines are embedded. Like, you could sand it all you want, but that line goes all the way through.
Yeah, I know, but still, it's just like...
there is a way to clean
of GW.
Right. There is a way to clean that up, by the way. But...
You know, you can't 3D print, but we can 3D print. I'm like,
To be fair to GW, they haven't. Their current tournament rules are, you are allowed to 3D print and use proxies. However, they can't be third-party produced. You need to prove that you basically made them. And if you did, then that's totally fine. Bad. Yeah, but that's to be fair to GW. Like that's their current tournament rules right now.
So like you can't produce the STL, or you can't get the STL and then print them yourself. Or you can't buy printed models already.
That'd be one of the those gray areas where you'd probably have to ask a judge. But I'd say by my interpretation, it's more about the source of the sculpt. Like if you purchased it from somebody else and printed it off, that's considered third party, so they won't let you run it. But if you personally sculpted it in a 3D software and printed it off and used it either as bit bashing, or you just made a whole mini wholesale, either way they'll let you run it as long as you can prove that you did it, like you made it.
Okay. Well, I honestly I'd have to see. I mean, we've gotten a model that looks completely different from their other model that they released a couple of years ago. So,
and I honestly, if I had known that this was an announcement coming, I probably would have guessed they were going to look drastically different, or not necessarily drastically, but look updated.
Plus, they look too clean right now for a dwarf 40k army. They look too clean.
Yeah, true, but that's the paint job.
Yeah, I mean, as long as we get some really bitchin' dwarven beards for them, yeah, they're going to be all right.
Bring out the glorious beards.
Yeah.
Get everything that doesn't have a beard.
I think it's going to be interesting to play Deep Rock Galactic on the tabletop.
All right. Thank you, man, for hopping in the call. Thank you for giving your perspective. I'm gonna have to say goodbye. Anything you want to ask me before I bring in the next caller?
No.
All right. Love hearing from you as always, Caboose.
Yep. Talk to you later, brother.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
All right, Blast Gunman. Let's see if your audio works this time. I know we had a bit of a problem last time with pulling you into a call. Uh-oh. I hear silence. Yeah, boy. Okay, if you can hear me, bro, let's try the solution we had last time. Hop into the Weebs VC down below. Hop into that, and I'll hop into that call and join you. And hopefully no one will join us while we just have our chat. If you can hear me, of course. Yeah, I think I gotta ask Bless Gunman if he's running Android, because I don't know if this is the Android glitch or if this is an entirely unique glitch. I know we had this problem last time. Don Squires hopped into the chat earlier. Said Old Guard is still around. There's several Facebook groups dedicated to it. Those groups are exploding right now. I'm sure they are. And I definitely agree that some of the Old Guard is still around. I don't know if I count as Old Guard. I've been in the hobby a decade, or almost a decade. I'm on my 9th year. In 2023, I will be in my my decade year. Well, let's do this. Alright, I'll hop into Weebs. Okay. Hopefully Bless Gunman sees me in there. If not, let me add him.
Hello?
Hello? Can you hear me? Alright.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Major Tom, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Alrighty, okay. Yeah. Are you on Android by chance? That might be the source of the problem. Or are you on?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, okay, this is the Android glitch that I heard about. Yeah, it's a weird thing. Like dragging Android users into calls for some reason. The app on Android doesn't like that. So that's
Android likes consent.
Apparently. Okay. So before we hop into the questions, you want to ask me anything? Want to say anything? Want to declare anything?
Games Workshop is digging in the bushes, looking for any goodwill.
All right, that sets the tone.
Yeah, that's the tone I'm seeing all this in.
All right. Let me turn you up a little bit on my end. I think I have you. Yeah, I think I had you lowered a little bit. There we go.
Okay.
All right. So, want me to just throw the questions?
Sure, go right ahead. Fire away.
Question number 1. What are your thoughts on the announcement of the return of the squats?
I think they're trying to parse it out as slowly as possible. They're trying to build hype, and I feel nothing.
So you're totally unaffected by the squats announcement.
Mostly because everyone thought it was a joke, and I still think it's going to be a joke. It's going to be a very small release, in my opinion.
Yeah, I can see that perspective.
At most, I see them coming out with maybe 2 troop choices, a few elites, and a few characters. It's gonna start off like a Custodes army. That's what I'm afraid of.
Alright. So you're on a more, not necessarily negative, you would say more indifferent? Or would you say it's negative? Your perspective?
It's negative that they're trying this hard to get goodwill, but the models themselves, I'm gonna say negative. They look way too generic sci-fi. They don't look like space dwarves.
I agree. One thing I would have liked to see is, and maybe I'm a cheesier, because I do like an 80s aesthetic. I would have liked to see like dwarven fantasy armor, as we've seen in Warhammer Fantasy, kind of ported over and just given maybe like more glowy bits, kind of like a neon strip. I don't know. I have a very specific view of how I would handle space dwarves.
Yeah, they've done flying dwarves in Sigmar, and they look recognizable as dwarves, but it just looks like a squat human.
Yeah.
Which, that's maybe the aesthetic they're going for. They're not trying to do space dwarves, they're doing squat humans.
That's a fair point. Forlorn Lancer, welcome to the stream. Welcome. Also, welcome James Mackin. Sorry, I just want to welcome a couple people. Alright.
Do what you need to do. Make the bread.
Gotta make that money. Gotta pull out my inner GW. Gotta dig deep, though. I don't have much of it.
Make a good aesthetic model that only does nothing.
Alright, so I guess right into this question 2 then. What will be the results of this? You're personally indifferent, but do you think objectively the majority of the community are? Do you think there's going to be more of a positive angle? Will this result in increased sales, returning players, better fan will?
They're fishing for all of that. That's the thing. I don't know the exact response. That's because I think everyone's just holding their breath until there's more confirmation.
Right. Because
we don't know if this is coming to 40k, if this is coming to Kill Team, if this is going to be a standalone game.
That is true. That is a lot of that is a very big factor. Assuming it's coming to 40k, and it's a full faction, what are your thoughts with that kind of angle?
I think it depends on what they are. I think a lot of players are going to be very dissatisfied if they see it's an Imperium faction.
That's true. And as far as
even Imperium players,
that would be something to kind of throw out there as a possible angle with their lore, as they write them back in. It could be possible.
If they were seen as more alien, but allies.
Yeah.
If they do that, I think that would get some goodwill. But if they're just Imperial squats, they're humans, they're abhumans again. No, that's just gonna be.
Yeah, it's gonna be a nothing burger with that perspective.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, that's my opinion, and I don't think it's going to bring back the old squat players, because the old squat players are. Just look at the old models; those are in the time, right. And they're not going back for that. I don't think we're going to see battle trains. I don't think we're going to see hovercraft like what they had before. I don't even think we're going to see trikes, which that's going to be a shame.
True. I mean, one thing I will definitely say is if they do go a more, what's the word? Regal, I don't think is the right word. If they go a more conservative route where they don't go full on, bring out a bunch of the old models just with updated aesthetic, if they don't go all in with squats, and they just give us some new models and then say, hey, just run the Lehman Russes, hey, just run other like units from the other Imperial factions to fill out the other gaps. If they do that, and also if they do the slow trickle, I think that'll undo a lot of the goodwill that this otherwise would have done. Than if they actually release things in a decent schedule, or even in bulk, release certain stuff. Because the thing is, I think personally, this will result in goodwill. Because some people, I don't want to insult anybody by saying it phrasing it like this, but I just don't know how to phrase it a better way. People are very simple, right? Like sometimes people don't need a huge reason to get hyped. And if someone is just a fan of a dwarven aesthetic, or if they were an old school fan who were fans of squats specifically, this might be enough for them to, if they've quit the hobby, come back. This might be enough for someone to just kind of check in on the hobby, or just buy these specific models and then not touch anything ever again, just because they want one more connection to that memory they had back in the day when they played squats. And
yeah, nostalgia is a hell of a drug.
It's incredibly powerful. We've seen how much, to use a loosely related example with World of Warcraft and WoW Classic when that came out, right? That was purely a nostalgic release. That whole thing was running on nostalgia, and a huge, massive amount of players either resubscribed and newly subscribed to World of Warcraft just to check it out because it was World of Warcraft in its heyday. So, and nostalgia was the only fuel burning that fire. Despite that, that fire burnt hot. Spicy hot.
Yeah, it made them a lot of money.
Oh, yeah. And the thing is, they didn't even sell it. It was free with the normal subscription, but they still made money massively on it. Though
you don't need to make a lot of money, but that's what I'm fearing Games Workshop is going to do. They're going to probably add an extra zero for that nostalgia.
Oh, yeah, they absolutely will. And we'll see if that'll backfire. A lot of people are mad enough at GW that even with the nostalgia being a fuel to this, if they give too many zeros behind the price tag, even the most hardcore squats fan is going to second guess themselves, especially right now with a lot of the world's economy.
Oh, yeah.
And with the fact that GW has already increased the prices of every other range and every other model they already currently sell, I will say that'll probably hurt them the most, is if they don't think about this in a more... Because the thing is, just bringing them back is not enough. You have to bring them back and make them accessible to the player base.
Yeah.
If you bring them back and then sell them with this massive price tag, then people can't get them, and effectively you might as well have not brought them back.
Yeah, and they could go down another scummy path. Instead of having it be a high price, it could be like Guard, where it's relatively expensive, but you need a lot. Yeah. And from what I remember, Squat wasn't a Horde army. It wasn't, so I don't know. It could go either way.
True. And I will say this, I'm unfamiliar with Squats on the tabletop. I think I've been, as long as I've been playing, they have not been in the game, unfortunately. But I am a fan of them in the lore. I am a fan of them in the lore. So I'd be curious to see how they play in the tabletop. I'm hoping for either an elite force or a medium force type army. Kind of like Space Marines almost. With the numbers at least.
Yeah, from what other people told me, they were kind of like a slow trotting, heavy gunned armored guys. But the thing is, we have Space Marines filling that void and Imperial Guard playing the range game. So I don't know what they're going to try to do for this new faction. And I think it's going to be completely different.
Sure.
I hope so, at least.
Fingers crossed. All right.
Yeah.
So, okay. Into question 3 then. Will you be purchasing any squats or wait for 3D printable proxies? Or from what I've heard from you, it sounds like you're neither.
Yeah, I don't like how they look. I want them to look more industrial. I like industrial. That's why I like Guard. I love how very
rugged,
rugged it looks. Yeah, I hate clean in sci-fi. I love Alien just for how practical everything looks.
I
dislike
say this.
Star Trek for how clean everything looks.
I would say this. For me, it depends on the universe. I like Star Trek, and I think the clean aesthetic works because it emphasizes the stressfulness of a situation when they're forced into a moment where they get dirty, when they get rugged in Star Trek. Because that does happen in several of the series where they're forced into situations where they can't maintain that cleanliness and that composure. So for me, that's almost used as a visual plot device to showcase when they're in more stress than they're used to dealing with.
Yeah, it also very contracts very well with Klingons and the other aliens. They look very different.
Very much so.
Star Trek works where clean is not everything.
Right.
But
I will say for 40K though, it definitely doesn't belong. We need rugged. We need gothic. We need rack shambled together. Ramshackled. Yes, that's what I'm trying to think of. Yep. We want that kind of look. Not like obviously the Dalwi-esque. The squats are not going to look like orcs, for example, who are the most rugged. But give them that because they are part of the Imperium, right? Give them a unique dwarven like runic-esque vibe to them, but also transfer over that rugged, almost medieval look with just sci-fi detailing. Because
we already have Tau for the clean aesthetic.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like that, the general aesthetic that a lot of people really like about 40K is that unclean, dirty, down in the mud vibe.
It looks like something that you would see trudging along in a battlefield.
Yeah, and that's why the tower. That's why for a lot of people they don't like the Tau. Like, something as small as the aesthetic has earned the tower a lot of ire from the rest of the community because of, again, this is a grimdark sci-fi universe. We don't really want to see anybody looking like they're not in dire straits, like they're looking like they're totally fine and that they're just kind of cruising along. They feel so out of place in that regard. Now, I'm not going to get into like a full anti-Tau thing. Like, I'm not against the Tau. I think they have their place a little bit. I have my problems with the Tau, and my biggest problem is probably aesthetic. Like, I wish they were given a bit more rugged aesthetic, but obviously this video is not about Tau. So
no, I think the problem with Tau is they don't have enough aliens showing off that they're an empire filled with other creatures.
True.
Tau. That's the problem.
Yeah, the line doesn't even get updated.
But yeah, I'm probably not going to buy any of the Tau stuff. I'm not Tau, squat stuff. But as a Guard player, I hope it doesn't show up before the Guard Codex. Because that would actually make me quit the game.
I mean, with this announcement and the momentum it's gathered, they might very well do that, sadly.
I know. I mean, it's just a slap in the face. Guard is the oldest book. And I'm just sitting here with all this useless plastic. Just, okay. I feel salty about it.
Yeah, I understand, man. Well, thank you for coming on. Thank you for giving your honest opinion. I appreciate it, man. And, yeah, I will catch you later. Much appreciated as always, bro.
All right, best of luck.
Thank you. All right, Calcio, put you into the call. Can you hear me?
God damn it. Oops, hold on.
Damn it. Hurdy-gurdy-gur.
Hold on, what the fuck?
You fucked a who? Alright, while you're fixing whatever's going on.
Holy shit, why the hell are you so quiet? What the fuck is wrong with my speakers?
Can you not hear me? Or...
I can't hear shit, hold on.
Alright, while he's fixing his issue, squats are back, rock and stone. Elbows are missing, squats need beer. I need the beer! Terran armor from StarCraft. I kind of see that. Yeah, I can see that. There are grudges. There are grudges to be resolved in combat. That's going straight in their fucking book. Still a great meme. Where's my Lost and the Damned and Emperor's Children GW? Somewhere in a bin where they've been throwing all the trash. Oh, I'm getting in trouble with that one. Okay. Just make them look like the 4th Relic and Scale Brigade skins from DRG. I don't think I've seen the Scale Brigade ones. That's all they had to do. The community article says the Imperium doesn't really like them. Okay, so well, the thing is, the Imperium in general doesn't really love abhumans. They're still considered human. They're not treated like Xenos, but they're definitely, I would argue, a second-class citizen almost. They're not like straight on, like, you know, like, here's my water fountain for a normal human, here's a water fountain for you. Well, they might have that for Ogrins, simply because Ogrins probably can't fit in the same hallway as a normal guardsman. But generally speaking, like, they are looked more like suspiciously upon and more like hazardously because they're not proper human. So there is that element to it, but that might be what that's referencing. That may not necessarily be directly implying that the Imperium has labeled the squats as an outsider force, and the squats are going to be a completely it's not necessarily, again, this all depends on the lore they come out with to explain the squats' return. This may result in them becoming their own separate faction from the Imperium, and therefore, which, by the way, I do got to agree with Gunman there. I would actually prefer that. I would actually prefer them to be their own faction outside the Imperium. Almost Xenos, like, put them in the Xenos category. I would like to see that, but that's also based on how they handle, if they were to do that, how they handle it. Like, you can't just be like, oh, the Imperium just completely hates them now, moving on. No, like, explain it. Like, is it something that happened with their survival of the Tyranid? Was it shrouded in suspicion by the Inquisition? Like, how did you survive? Or, like, give it more, like, fruit. Build it up, explain it. And given how, again, my main thing I'm running with as a sample in my mind of how GW handles the addition of a brand new line to something, that's not just an aesthetical update, but a full-on lore changer like Primaris. I think that's the closest comparison we can make with the squats return. I don't trust GW writing team to handle it well. I expect shenanigans and I expect bullshit. But that's me. Maybe I'm a pessimistic douche. But I have a very bad feeling that they're gonna either give us hand-wavy explanation, or the explanation they give is gonna make no fucking sense. Or both. 1 coin for our payment that goes in the book. A squat mercenary captain. Hey, that's all it takes. You forgot 1 coin. You bastard. Alright. Calcul seems to still be having issues. Calcul, can you hear me, bro? Rush through reggae. We have a faulty speaker! This is not good. It is not good at all. Well, while we wait, how about everybody who's watching consider leaving a like and supporting the stream? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Please help. Just consider it is all I'm saying. Alright. While Calcul is trying to fix that, if anybody else wants to jump into call line, I can pull them in ahead of Calcul while he tries to fix his issue. That's still open. I can reshare the link. That's the link to the Discord. If you want to hop into the call line, give your opinion, give your take on the 3 questions about the squats, feel free to join the Discord briefly. You don't have, obviously, there's no obligation to stay. But if you want to, we always welcome new community members. Hop in, and we'll pull you into the call line, and I'll pull you into the stream call. And keep in mind, if you're on Android, there might be a result of a glitch where you won't be able to hear or send out. Your output and input won't work for some reason. But that's not a universal issue. I've seen it go, go good, go bad, go good, go bad. So we'll see. But yep, call line's still open, and Calcul, you have until someone else comes to the call line to try and fix your issue. Fix it. Hey, you're on a time clock, boy. The Space Dwarves / Squats have their own Joseph Bugman variant. I don't remember. I would think. Well, have a version of that. Could be wrong, though. Imperium doesn't really love the Imperium. That's true. That's a very good point. Good point to make. The Imperium doesn't like the Imperium, so that's the present issue. Okay. Calcul, can you hear me? Nope. Can you hear me?
Still not hearing a...
Nope. Damn. Alright, so yeah, call line's still open for those with working mics and working speakers. By the way, the armor of the squad looks a bit like the Man of Iron from Blackstone Fortress. UR 025. They look out of place and not Imperial. I would agree with that, and I agreed with that when Gunman pointed it out as well. Again, I really like that rugged aesthetic, and I don't want to see more factions lean towards the Tau, kind of clean, smooth armor. This is a grimdark sci-fi universe where the idea is everything sucks. Nothing should look clean. Nothing should look smooth and rounded out, for lack of a better term. It's very rough, rugged, scraped. Everything is reused 1,000 times over because they can't afford to make new shit. So, that is something to be said. I don't want the squats to look smooth armored like high-techy. That's a personal opinion, of course, but the Tau are enough for that, I think. It's the main reason why I have not collected and painted Tau. It's looking like the call line is empty. Alright. I guess that means we're just going to move the conversation to chat. I'll leave the call line open for the next few minutes. In the meantime, chat, how's everybody holding together? How's everybody thinking? Feel free to throw your thoughts into text form right now. Actually, one cool... Oh, Calcul's back in the call line. Calcul, can you hear me? Okay, not good. Dragonis, can you hear me, lad?
Hello.
Hello. Was that a sigh of exasperation, or are you just tired?
I love and hate the squads.
Alright. In what regard do you love and hate?
I love the whole idea about space dwarfs, but I really don't think we need another power-armored faction. We just have an abundance of power-armored factions.
That is true.
And, I mean, we have the Custodes, we have the Space Marines, we have the Primaris Marines, we do have the Sisters of Silence, and the whole Sisterhood who gets power armor. We also, well, the Tau also have power armor, so you just don't need another faction with power armor. We need a little bit more of different things.
I mean, even the if you include the Mega Knobs and
yeah, even the orcs have some.
Even the orcs have some.
The only
armor.
guys who don't get any are the Eldar. And Chaos
I can make some
Demons.
arguments. I can make some arguments.
Yeah, but that's pretty much it. And everyone else gets power armor, so...
True.
And I do not have the feeling that they're gonna make them unique. They're probably gonna be another Space Marine type faction with very similar build-up, with very similar unit types, and with a pretty much exact the same play type on the board.
Yeah, that
I mean,
seems...
I love the idea, but I do not have a good feeling.
Right. Oh, so definitely a solid opening. You kind of answered some of the questions, but I'll still run through them. That was basically the answer to question 1, so I guess I'll just jump to question 2. Unless you want to ask me something or say anything else.
I just focused that one.
Okay. Also, welcome Lord Marshall Valdar to the stream. Welcome, bro. Sorry. So, question 2: what will be the results of this? Ergo, increased sales, returning players, better fan will. What do you see objectively happening as a result, if anything?
I think they're trying to get more people back, especially from the old guard, because they're picking up something that was left alone for a very long time, and something that was loved by the community before it got wrecked. So I think they're trying to catch up some of the fans that have been leaving, but I'm really not sure that they can do it, and the squad model doesn't look much like a dwarf model, and it doesn't look like the old squads pretty much.
Yeah,
the
aesthetic.
Not sure if that's gonna happen.
Yeah, the aesthetic of these dwarves definitely doesn't seem to be the actual like shrunken little dudes. Like the one I use. I've printed off the one-page rules dwarves. So, you know, they don't look like that, like actually squished together tiny guys. They do look more like, they do look more like the...
From the style, they're Tau.
Well, no, I was going for more for like their biology. The dwarf, like the way that they've been modeled, these squats, I'd say they look more like the dwarves you see in, well, Deep Rock Galactic, kind of more like that. Like they're not shorty, like they're not as squidged down and like contorted as the miniature dwarves for like one-page rules or old school Warhammer Fantasy. They look like they're more like they're just slightly shorter, stockier built humans. Like they're not like tiny.
I think I would probably need to have a comparison to a guard or directly a Space Marine next to them to see the difference.
They do.
I mean, as I can tell from the standard build up, they look pretty much like a Space Marine, a bit bulkier, and a bit heftier. But I can't tell how tall that model is from just the picture.
Yeah, they implied he was short with like the looking side to side, and he's like, "Hey, down here," and he looks down. I hope he's shorter than a guardsman, because I'll be annoyed if he's not. Because
I mean, with that fake power armor, not too sure.
I don't know.
And I also have to say, I really don't like the pants that he has there. That they look weird.
Yeah, a little weird.
It looks like he is wearing jeans to a power armor, kinda.
I could kind of work with that though. Personally,
it's kind of it. I don't really like.
Part of it's the paint. To be fair though, part of it's going to be the paint job always.
Yeah. And I'm not a fan of the paint job because that looks like a Tau kind of style from the colors, which I really do not approve.
So, you don't think there's going to be any increased sales, returning players, fan will increase, anything like that, or?
I think they're trying to catch some of the old fans, and maybe it could work. Right. Maybe.
Are you leaning more towards not or will?
More towards not than it should work.
Gotcha. Okay. Is that all you want to say on question 2, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think there's much of a massive idea. It's probably just getting the sales a bit up and trying to get them back. That's it.
Right. All right. I guess that will lead us to question 3. Will you be purchasing any squats, or wait for 3D printable proxies, or just completely uninterested?
If they bring back the land trains and stuff like that, I would definitely love to see that, and maybe 3D print it if it's possible. If they're just gonna make a whole lot of these short, stocky, power armored dudes, I don't need them.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I'm more interested in their vehicles than in the unit itself.
That is something to be said. This is dwarves are a very a huge part of the dwarf aesthetic does very much come from their artillery, their use of, especially in a sci-fi setting, what their mechs are going to look like, their aerial craft. Yeah. That'll be a huge, and again, a lot of people mention like the train. A huge influence on people for getting these guys is definitely going to be what they're going to bring to the table for like the larger vehicles. What's going to be the heavy ground quaking artillery? What's the sheer sundering firepower going to look like? That's definitely going to be a massive influence on whether people on average will check out the squats or not.
And are they getting anything Titan style? Because
True.
They had big fucking trucks, they had big fucking weapons, so
I would love to see.
They could have their own Titan legions.
I would love to see a giant dwarven aesthetic mech.
Yeah. But I honestly have no clue what they're going for, and I really hope they're not going for the Tau kind of lean, slender type.
Courtesy of Afiel, it appears we have an image here. Hold on. Let me see if I can pull this up on stream. Hold on. Alright, so we got this courtesy of, again, Afiel. He didn't say in his DM to me if this is definitively one of the new dwarven mechs, or if he's using this as an example of something, but he just sent it to me. If this is an example... Oh, to be fair, though, looking at it, it looks like an older...
That looks older, but from the style...
Oh, no. He's saying it's a Man of Iron from Blackstone. Okay, thank God. For a second there, I was like, if this is one of the dwarven mechs, holy shit, that looks good.
That didn't look like a mech at all. That's the thing.
No. It looks a bit like... Okay, he's okay, thank God. It looks like... Okay, bullet dodged. Okay.
I'm scared of that you're actually bringing them back, too.
Yeah. Okay, he was just using an example.
Please don't bring them back.
Alright. Hey, Kaiju Blood God, what's up, bro? This is a Man of Iron. Yep. Thankfully, that for a brief second, I thought he was sending me an image of dwarf mech stuff, and I was like,
I mean, from the aesthetic, it looks kind of similar to what.
That's why he sent it to me is telling him like what it reminded him of. Again.
Oh, please don't use that design.
My mistake. Thankfully, not the case. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so. Alright, I guess we went through all 3 questions. Anything you want to leave off on? Ask me? Anything like that before I bring in the next person?
I'm just not sure what they're trying to do with them. And I'm really curious what their books are going to look like. And how the initial getting them back is going to work. Because if they're just going to go, oh, look at that planet, there's still some of them, that's gonna be a shit excuse.
Yeah, my biggest concern is the lore explanation. Because again, I keep saying it, but I have to reinforce this. I absolutely 100% need to remind people, and I know some people, quote-unquote, like the explanation of Primaris. I'll never understand how you can. It's such a shitty explanation. And they've even gone back on some of the shit they said initially about Primaris, but regardless. how they handled Primaris explanation of the lore, in my opinion, dog shit. They handled that terribly. I fear we're gonna see something similar here. Like they're gonna give a hand wavy explanation of why the squats have gone all this time. They weren't actually all wiped out by Tyranids. I really hope they give this some level of explanation past just a hand wavy explanation. I want something of substance.
We earlier made the shit joke that they were just made by Call.
Yeah, I made that joke earlier today when it was announced. Like if that ends up I really hope my joke doesn't end up being the case. If it does, I'm gonna be so mad.
Call is just gonna bring back everything. That's gonna be fucking cringe.
Yeah, I shudder.
That dude is already the fucking MacGuffin of the fucking world.
He's a living MacGuffin.
Yeah, and he's a Mary Stew.
Yeah, he is.
Gary Stew.
Gary Stew.
I mean, he's literally, I am better than the Emperor.
Well, he hasn't said that, but that's what they've implied by him improving upon the Emperor's own work.
I mean, they've taken away everything the Emperor did in the work, so...
Fair enough, yeah.
So it's not like there's anything left.
I was joking. I hope to Christ they don't actually do that. Like, I would prefer them just say, "Oh well, the squat survived. It was the Imperium didn't bother to double check. They just assumed." Like, I would literally respond to that better
than
if Call brought back the entirety of the squats through DNA cloning or some shit. I swear to God, if they do that, if they make my joke reality, I'll be pissed. So that's my only concern. But anyway, Thank you, Dragonis, for hopping in, brother. Thank you for your responses. Thank you for the interaction. Much appreciated.
Have a nice evening, sir.
You as well.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Alright, Kyokyo. Your speaker's working now. Do 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 do. Oh boy. I just say Blood Angels with no Red Thirst and Black Rage. Call builds a Contemptor. Mobility is good for them. and with all the shit he's done, at this rate, I would not be shocked if he just did some stupid shit like that. And it worked. It's Tyranid Slayer kind of aesthetic, like where they attack. Yeah, I think that would be cool. That would be a cool addition to the squats. Have it revealed that they actually survived fighting the Tyranids all this time, and they've actually been like at the head of that front. Like, do something with that, maybe. I would absolutely love to see something like that, and with that, an aesthetic addition of like Tyranid Slayers. I would love to see that shit. But at the same time, again, I really don't like being pessimistic. I don't. But I can't help but be pessimistic, again, based on how GW handled Primaris lore. I don't see them handling the return of the squats well. I would love to be proven wrong. And I hope I am. I hope they handle this damn well. I just don't think they will. Oh, man. Can you hear me? Kill. Nope. Well, shit. On Krieg after 500 years? That's a good point. They didn't bother to check on them. But to be fair, their reasoning was the planet was turned into a nuclear wasteland. Though the counter-argument for that would be, well, the infestation equivalent of that would be the Tyranids. So like, yeah, okay, well, we ain't fucking with that planet, so, goodbye. aside from the big story being fake, is crossbreeding with baseline humanity to boost squad numbers, then add some grimdark implementations on top. I could see that. This is assuming a level of competence with the explanation, though. The Imperium never bothers, so that's true. Okay. Alright. So, I got nobody else left in the call line. So, I guess that wraps up the conversation. Unless anybody, I'll share the link one more time. Hold on. There's the link in the chat. If anybody would like to jump the call line, I'll take a few more callers. If not, feel free to shoot any questions you guys have for me or any... Oh, hello. Lord Marshal Valda, welcome to the stream. How you doing?
Hey, Asmogan, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
That's good. That's good to hear.
Awesome. Before I get into the questions, do you have anything you'd like to say? Any questions you have for me? Any general statements you want to make about this? Anything at all?
Well, this is the first time I'm actually talking to you in person, so...
Fair enough.
Yeah. So, I'm just kind of nervous.
Don't be. I'm an asshole.
Yeah. We're all assholes.
To a degree. That's what makes us human.
Yeah.
Alright, so do you want to jump right into the questions?
Well... Like me asking you, or...
Oh yeah, if you have any questions for me, we can start with that.
Oh, yeah. So... well... Like, what are your general thoughts on the squats coming back?
My general thoughts on the squats coming back. I'd say I'm personally... positive's the wrong word. I am neutral, leaning towards positive in the sense that I would love to see them come out with a new codex, come out with new rule sets and stuff to work with the squats. And depending on the price tag and depending on a lot of factors... with just the raw announcement that they're bringing them back, there's not a lot to go off of with to build an opinion on whether I think it's great or good or bad. I like the addition of Space Dwarves. I like the Dwarven aesthetic. I don't like what they've done with this first miniature they've shown. Other people have mentioned it, and they made pretty good points about it. It being too clean, too rounded. I don't like seeing that in 40k. I like seeing grungy. I like seeing ramshackled, and... especially with Dwarven aesthetic, I would like a more runic... I would like them to go full ham with it, right? Like, bring in that full runic vibe that they had in Warhammer Fantasy for the Dawi, and put it on the Space Dwarves. Put it on the squats, and just add sci-fi bits to it. You know, add a neon lining to it. Add a little bit of energy effects. Maybe make it look more self-contained so it looks like a battle armor while still having that runic aesthetic. I would love that, but outside of aesthetic, the only thing I'm definitely predisposed to a negative perspective on, for me personally, is the lore. I don't trust GW to re-implement squats correctly, because, again, my main basis for this is how they handled Primaris. I've said it many times, and I'll say it many times more. I just simply do not trust the GW writing staff at this point to implement anything correctly. They've made so many blunders, and if I'm proven wrong, this is one of those things where I would be happy to say I'm wrong and happy to say that they can do it right and that they will do it right. And if I do end up getting proven wrong, I'll be elated. I just don't, at this current stage and based on history, recent history, notwithstanding, I don't trust they're going to handle the lore correctly. But I am excited to see them back on the tabletop. And if the miniatures do end up being overly expensive, which they're probably going to be, I will love to see what the fan base will create for 3D proxies.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on this assessment too. I wish the squats were a little bit more rustic and dwarven, and I'm not really a particular fan of a whole StarCraft Tau aesthetic, you know.
Yeah, smooth, rounded, very cleanly.
Yeah, I have to agree. And I agree with you that they definitely fucked up on the Primaris thing.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm all for being proven wrong, but that's just where I'm standing right now.
Yeah, agreed.
So so what's your predisposition to it? You said you agree with me, generally speaking, but anything specific you want to add on to that?
Well, I do like the gun the squad is holding. I definitely like the gun.
Very big, very bulky.
Yeah.
Which is fitting.
Yeah, I have to agree with the last call that I really do not like the jumpsuit he's wearing underneath the armor. It just looks weird.
It looks a little quirky, yeah.
Yeah. The backpack, I don't mind as much, but it could use a few tweaks here and there.
Yeah, my opinion on the backpack is I think it's not, obviously it's not a full-on replica of the Space Marine backpack, but I don't know if I like them having, like, it's a big bulky backpack, and I feel like that's added. I just don't know why it's there. Like, I don't have a huge problem with it, but I think aesthetically it's leaning towards the Space Marines pack, which I would like them to either give them a completely different look, which, to be fair, people will argue with me and say, well, it is a completely different pack. Well, I see, to me it looks like they took the Space Marine pack and literally just kind of sculpted around it to make a new design, and they just chopped off some bits. Like, I don't see any kind of drastic move away from that. So I don't know. That's just maybe it's a bit of a nitpick, but
yeah, I have to agree.
Yeah,
Funny thing, I know one of my friends back up in Alaska before I moved down. He had made a squat army out of the fantasy dwarves and just put some guardsmen last guns on them. I thought they looked pretty cool.
that's awesome.
Yeah. And seeing these squats, GW could do a bit better, I have to say.
Yeah, and no matter what, I think the 3D art community that'll end up sculpting STLs for this. As I've been perusing the STLs the community has made for proxies of stuff, a lot of that stuff looks really like better than what GW has made. So I think the fan community is going to come out with better designs for the squats than GW has. The main thing I am excited for is just them having an official codex in 9th. And them actually getting their own rule set. That way, when players start printing off their own minis and using them in the game, they have a rule set to work with. And that'll be in official tournaments as well, not just like homebrew games.
Yeah, I agree. For rules-wise, I think since squats are not really Space Marines, I think they'll be more like guardsmen, just a bit beefier.
So, do you think they're going to be a horde army?
It's a possibility. I'm not saying 100% sure, but it's a possibility, maybe.
It's possible. I'm leaning towards medium force with an emphasis on their tech.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I see that. I see them leaning towards artillery and stuff, but I could be wrong. But that's kind of my hope almost, is that that's the way, and that I hope that they're going a little bit more ham with the aesthetic with that stuff. Because I do gotta say, we are critiquing this base model, which looks like it's probably their rank and file infantry. And if this is the rank and file infantry, I think it's fair to say it's supposed to look the most simplistic and basic. So I hope they go ham with, hopefully, again, more dwarven design is where we see it in the artillery and in mechs.
And I agree with that.
And if they don't, again, the 3D art community will do it for them.
Of course. Because the 3D art community does a lot better shit than they do.
Most of the time, I have to say. Most of the time. The stuff you can find on Cults and Thingiverse that people put up for free is nuts. Like, I have a Leviathan Dreadnought I printed off that I got for free. And it's the same scale and size as a proper Leviathan Dreadnought. Once I paint it, I guarantee you won't be able to tell it was 3D printed.
Yeah. God, now I'm waiting for a freaking Dwarven Dreadnought.
Oh, that would look so cool. Again, if they go with the more runic style, which
Agreed.
if we go based on this infantry unit, it doesn't seem like that's how they're leaning, but maybe again because it's the rank and file that they're going a little bit looser with it.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll throw because we touched on the first question, so we'll just jump into question 2. What do you think the results of this announcements are going to be, and when those squats properly come out? Do you think there's going to be an increased sales? Do you think there's going to be old players coming back to possibly play some squats at night? Do you see this kind of making up for a lot of the bad will in the community? Like, what are you kind of picturing right now?
Well, with GW's track record, probably some of the veteran players and members are probably not, maybe, but it will depend. That's my thought. It will really depend if GW screws up again.
Yeah, the lore is definitely going to be a massive deciding line for if people give it even a proper shot. Because again, if they do very hand-wavy explanation for their return, or they go a complete nutty rant. Again, the Primaris explanation, they should have just made Primaris true scale. But with how they handle this, I definitely think that if they're going to handle it well, the lore explanation well, I think that'll steer people enough towards the goodwill to give it a shot. But if they completely botch that, it doesn't matter how good the aesthetic is. It doesn't really matter how well the marketing is. It doesn't even matter if the pricing's not dreadful, which it kind of will be. I guarantee you they're not going to sell these for anywhere near cheap. Not even by their standards cheap. But,
yeah.
I think if the lore explanation's garbage, that people are not going to want to put their hands on it.
Yeah, I agree.
Portrait Seal, welcome to the stream. Also, Robanon, welcome. Enjoyed your time with your family. Yeah, I enjoyed my time with our family. My cousin got drunk. It was kind of funny. I don't want to get in trouble, so I won't share that full story. But it was kind of funny.
Fair enough.
Yeah, Portrait Seal says, I figure they're going to be Tempestus Scion level infantry with expensive but powerful vehicles, he said. But vehicles is what it meant to say. Or something. I just wanted Iron Drakes in space. Hey, we might still get that. Emphasis on might. All right.
Yeah.
So, for you, Lord Marshal Vidar, Valdar, sorry.
It's okay. A lot of people sometimes just call it Lord Marshal Vader. I'm like,
I just got tongue-tied.
Yeah.
So, third question, will you be purchasing any squats, or you wait for 3D proxies, or before you can answer this question, do you need to know the pricing?
I will need to know the pricing first and foremost, because I'm like trying to save up money and not spend gazillion cash on models that I'm going to be disappointed with. So
that's a fair point. That's the big thing right now. That question won't be answered for a lot of people until the pricing comes out.
Yeah, to be honest, I think I'm gonna wait for the 3D printer community to do it instead, because I think they'll do it for a lot cheaper price.
Oh yeah. And if you have your own printer, people will most likely put at least a GW quality or better sculpts on cults, on Thingiverse for people to print off. So, and that at that point, if you already have a printer, it's just gonna be the cost of the resin for you. And for most people, for like a full army, it'll probably cost them like $10. Again, for like a full army with mechs and stuff.
Yeah. Oh god, Paolo just said, just quoted from StarCraft, hell, it's about time.
Hell, it's about time.
God. I was literally laughing when Pete the Wargamer actually made a freaking StarCraft Marine out of Primaris Heavy Intercessor.
It's not hard to do. Like we're getting close to that aesthetic.
Yeah.
All right. That's all 3 of my questions. Got any more questions for me? Got anything else you want to bring up?
The head sculpt on the squad, I don't know how I feel about it. Like, it's probably because he doesn't have a helmet on that he doesn't look very dwarfy enough. He looks more like a bearded ogre.
Yeah, I can see the bearded Ogren point. Yeah.
Yeah.
What we really need right now is someone put a guardsman next to this space dwarf, please. If he's taller than a guardsman, I'm just gonna be pissed.
Me too.
He's supposed to be a dwarf. He's supposed to be short. I don't care if he's in power armor. Make him slightly shorter or the same height. And say
yes.
Because if he's the same height, I'll just chalk it up to the armor. But if he's taller, if he's like the size of an Ogren, nah, you can't call him squats at that point.
Agreed. You just call him what do you call him, like a dwarven stormtrooper or something?
I just say he's just a at that point you just call him bulkier guardsman.
Or chunky boy.
Or yeah, just call them chunkies. Like, hey, they're the chunky boys.
Yes, the chunky boys.
Oh Lord, he coming. It's like, what's that sound? Clap, clap, clap. It's the ass cheeks of the chunky boys. He's coming.
He's coming.
Yeah.
Here comes the chunky boys.
Alright, thank you for the call, man. Thank you for answering the questions. Much appreciated.
No problem, Asmogan. And thanks for, thank you for thank you.
No problem.
Okay, I'm going now.
Have a good one, man. Thank you.
You too.
Yeah, we've had some pretty good callers today. It's been nice. Alright. So, call line is still open. I'll probably... How long have we been going? I'll take, depending on how long the next call is, if I get another call, up to 2 more calls. Yeah, we've had some pretty good responses so far. Definitely leaning, so far out of this sample study, we've got more negative leaning, which is... A lot of the views are similar or a little bit more negative than mine, so that's interesting. 5-up invul save from the sheer girth of the lads. I would certainly, I'd say just looking at them, 4-up at best. A 4-up save at best, and I only make that argument because maybe the armor's good, but for their rank and file, certainly, I'd argue 4-up. 4-up at the best. 5-up at the more fair, and 6-up if they're cruel. Make them the equivalent of a orc boy. For saves, anyway. Big Squatgus. Big Squatgus. Since the squats used to have a lot of troops in the Imperial Guard, what do you think their specialization was then, and will be this time around? I started playing only 10 years ago. 9 years ago. We're going to be 10 years in 2023. So I've been in the hobby just under a decade. And so I've never played during the time when the squats were around. I've not had that pleasure. So I don't know how they used to play in the tabletop. So basically I'd be getting that information myself secondhand. As for how I think they're going to play... based on no prior exposure to how they used to play, I believe it makes sense to me that they'd play as a medium-sized force with an emphasis on mechs and artillery. That's what makes sense to me. Is that they're going to be more of like a heavy armored deployments with lots of big heavy shit, and their rank and file was more just to do OBSEC. Mainly, I would say. Like that's how I'd predict their usage is going to be on the tabletop for 9th. Is, again, big, heavy, chunky boys with the infantry mainly acting as just OBSEC, while their artillery pepper the enemy hard while they hold objectives. That's my guess. But again, that's not based on any kind of prior exposure to how they are. They might be a horde army, which I don't know how I feel about the dwarves being a horde army, but they might be a horde army. They might be an elite force, kind of like Custodes? I don't know. We need an emoji. I just got DM something funny. Big chunky bars. Well, it's completely unrelated to the stream. Can't wait till the 12th for the 6.1 release. Agreed. For anyone who doesn't know what Robinon's talking about, that's Final Fantasy 14. I streamed that a lot. Yeah, I'm excited for 6.1 as well. So I'm with you there. I'm hype. By the way, I left my answers further up in the chat since the call wasn't working. Okay. First, there is something wrong with Discord on this issue. Okay. Guess I'll just say that I kind of don't want the squats back, and especially not looking like that. They should look more like they did back in the day, and I'm not buying. Okay. You didn't answer question 2, but I'm glad you answered question 1. And question 1 and 3. Much appreciated, Calcio. Thank you. A horde of drunk power barrel swinging power armored space dwarves. Yeah, when you describe it like that, it sounds amazing, but how it would actually play, again, based on this unit that they've shared in their promo trailer, it doesn't look like they're leaning enough into that runic dwarf aesthetic. So it doesn't look like, based on this unit, again, this is probably their rank and file infantry guy, it doesn't seem like they're going full ham with the aesthetic of dwarves, which I don't like. They're also not making them look rustic, or they're not making them look rugged, which I'm not appreciative of. I wish they were going like that. And if their whole army looks this kind of smooth armored, kind of clean looking, they're definitely gonna lose my interest in them.
More gil for the cause.
Oh, we got a dono. Was that a super chat, or was that a Streamlabs chat? It might have been a Streamlabs. Hold on. These days, you never know. They always forget to open Streamlabs. Pulling it up there. Hold on now. Hold on. Draconis with the $5 reduce via Streamlabs donation. Here, have some money. No squats, please. Here's money. Fuck them. I'll take it. Streamlabs, which you never have open. I never have it open because I rarely get donated to through Streamlabs, you know? People don't like to donate to me via Streamlabs for some reason. It hurts my feelings. That's why I don't open it. I didn't get that. Okay. That dorkishness enough aside. But yeah, what was I saying? I lost my train of thought. Yeah, the thing is, if we were getting the ale, like the swing in the ale barrels and fucking going ham with like that runic, like badass dwarves, and just have a little bit of sci-fi and well, obviously not a little bit, but like they go sci-fi, but they still hold true to that runic dwarven aesthetic. I'd be nothing but excited for it, just on the basis of painting the damn things. But based on this miniature, based on this rank and file troop, it doesn't look like they're leaning enough into that dwarven aesthetic, which I'm not happy with. If their whole army has this same vibe to it, where it's very smooth, very rounded, no runic aesthetic, no traditional fantasy dwarven influence outside of just them being dwarves, you kind of lose me. You lose me personally. Like, if they were bringing that, and they were still bringing that like dorky hamminess to it, I'd be all for it, bro. Like, I'd be buying up a whole army tomorrow. But it doesn't look like they're going that route, again, based on the one miniature, which I know is not fair. I am gonna give them a chance to show the rest of the army, and maybe it's just the rank and file that don't have that unique aesthetic, because, well, rank and file is supposed to. But, you know, I would definitely want dwarves. I want space dwarves, right? Like, I don't want stockier, slightly shorter humans. I want space dwarves. Give me that shit yesterday. Hook it up to my veins! If they bring that shit to the table, shut up and take my money. Fuck off. But if they don't get a dime from me. I don't give money to YouTube. Fair enough. Makes sense. Got into 40k about a decade ago myself. Seen some sweet artwork of squats here and there. One of them showed a squat in power armor next to a dead orc. Share that with me if you can. I've seen plenty of fan art of like all the factions, including squats, but I think I have one in mind where you described like a squat in power armor next to a dead orc. I have a very specific fan art I've seen of that. I don't know if it's the same one. Maybe we've seen the same one. Possibly not. Maybe you can check the community post with us in stream because there is some stuff hinted. Space Rune Fathers. I already checked the community post. I didn't see any hints of that, but I did skip over a couple of lore lines in it. Hold on. I did already pull up the community post about it though. Let me pull it back up. What April Fool's for? Yeah, I read that earlier. Okay, I'm gonna skip to the lines I didn't read. Okay. Alright, so I'm at the paragraphs I didn't read. Although their civilization shares common roots with humanity, the Leagues of Votann have an uneasy relationship with the Imperium of Man. Unlike their superstitious human cousins, the Leagues emerged from the Age of Strife with far more of their ancient technology intact, including some infamous advances the Imperium would consider extremely heretical. Men of Iron. AI. This Inquisitor, like, bolt gun slowly approaches my temple. Heretical. Their knack for science and a headstrong nature make for skilled warriors backed up by reliable weaponry, as you can see from this from even this basic trooper. And while there's no love lost between the Leagues of Votann and humankind, the resurgence of chaos and ascendant Xenos hordes mean there are usually more pressing concerns than fighting each other. Okay. The Leagues of Votann are coming to Warhammer 40k later this year. There's still a few solid. Let's go. Alright, and the rest of that I already read. I don't see a hint I don't see the hint you're inferring. The Rune Fathers? What part of that inferred Rune Fathers? Unless I missed another line, but I'm pretty sure I didn't. Wait, do they have a different community post up other than this one? Hold on. Articles, 40k. News. No, it's looking like the only one they got up it's at least explicitly about the space dwarves is the squats is the article I just read. Oh, you mean the trailers? Okay. Well, that's a bit different than the article. There's dwarven writings, and it looks like runes from fantasy. I did see that in the background, but that's not what I'm talking about when I say runic aesthetic. I don't mean like, oh, there's like these little screens with runes on them. No, I mean their armor has etched runes in them. And then with a sci-fi aesthetic, you can make them glow. You can make the ingrains in the armor around them glow and have the runes just kind of pop up as metal pieces. That is what I'm talking about when I say that runic aesthetic. Just having runes in the background and stuff like that, it's not enough. You need to go full on with it, and this basic trooper doesn't imply to me that they're gonna go that route far enough. Like I want dwarves, right? I want space dwarves with the runes, with the rugged, rectangular armor that's very function over form, but still has aesthetic to it. You know, I want that, but with just a sci-fi leaning. Making them look like, essentially, based on this image, like smooth armor, almost Tau-like. Too clean, too round, and again, I get that they have more high tech from the old days of humanity still around. That's just not enough, though. The rule of cool still applies to their basic design, and I don't like them being too clean. Like, it just, I don't want more factions to lean into that same level as they did with the Tau. Like, The Tau, I certainly can accept the argument that they're the youngest race. They're still learning about the horrors of the rest of the galaxy, and them being more high-tech and cleaner kind of works from that angle. I can accept that. But no, you can't. Don't do that with the squats. Don't do that with the space dwarves. Give me dwarves in space. I don't care if it looks cheesy. Like bring me the cheese, right? Bring me the dorkishness. This is just too dirty him up. Show that these guys are rough and rugged. He kind of looks like a character out of Overwatch. You know, the video game Overwatch. I might be alone in this, but he kind of, now that I'm thinking about it, he kind of looks like he's a character from Overwatch. That's kind of, because this whole time I've been looking at the image and I'm like, what is this reminding me of? Like, his armor is reminding me of something. What is it reminding me of? And now that I've been thinking about it, it kind of reminds me very loosely of Winston's armor, the big ape. Winston's armor from Overwatch, and if not his, then definitely a few other characters. It's that same rounded aesthetic, almost cartoonish. No, that's kind of what it reminds me of, and not in a good way. Gotta go. Was fun chatting. I'll see if I can find that artwork, the squat in Power Armor, next to the dead orc. All right, awesome. If you do, send it my way. Tech from old, so tones of Volkite. I mean, yeah. So I suppose that kind of leads us to the end. Before we sign off, anything in the chat anyone wants to send my way via text chat, any questions you have for me in the chat before I close off, anything you might have been curious about my take on that I didn't go over, just throw it out in the chat, and we'll wrap up the stream if everybody's satisfied with this convo. We've had an amazing conversation today. I'm happy with the people who came on. We had plenty of callers. I'm sorry that Calcul had a bit of a technical issue, but maybe next time we can get through that and fix that. This was a fun open mic. I love the convo. I love the conversation. I love the interaction. I love the takes. It seems from this sample group that we went with, the general consensus is either indifferent to negative. Seems to be the take of most folks that hopped in. I personally I'm close to the middle. I am on the negative side of things, but mostly the only thing I'm definitively negative about right now is the lore. I don't think they're gonna have a good explanation for the return of the squats. I just simply don't. I don't see them handling it well. I hope I'm wrong. Like if I am, I'll admit it immediately and I'll be happy about it. I don't like being right about negative things ever. I want to see the positives, but for me, I can't shake what I remember of how them handling Primaris. I just can't shake that. I don't like what they did there. Plenty of my friends don't. Plenty of the callers that came in didn't. And I fear that they're going to make the same mistakes with trying to explain the return of the squats. I fear they're going down the exact same route. Fingers crossed they don't. Tech from let's just hope they get rune armor and then you do a paint stream. If they do rune armor, I will buy an entire battle box worth of the shit, and I will paint them on stream. All right, hold me to it. If they do that, I will paint them on stream. Until they do that, no. As is, I still gotta paint my one-page rules dwarves. I've been neglecting to do that. But before I do that, I gotta finish painting my Black Templars because I got a 1.5k tournament of 9th edition coming up. So I'm gonna be running my Templars. I was gonna run them allied. I was gonna ally in my Canis Rex Imperial Knight, but I think I'm just gonna go pure Black Templar army, and I'm gonna be running a Leviathan Dreadnought, assuming I can get him assembled. I promise I only do Gravis or jump packs, so stomp or jump heavy intercessors are the closest I can get to troops terminators. Alright, fair enough. Alright. So, we'll wrap it up there, guys. Thanks again to all the callers who came in, gave their takes, gave their perspectives. Much appreciated conversation. And much appreciated everybody who hopped into the chat, gave their take in text form. Always love to have you guys. I'm sorry if I didn't get to every comment that was made in the chat while I was doing my interview, doing each of the convos and the interviews, but all the same, thank you guys, thanks to the callers, and maybe we'll do this again soon sometime. I've enjoyed both times I've done the open mics. They've been very constructive, I think. They've been very fun to have the conversations. And yeah, it's a good interaction to have as well over stuff. And who knows, maybe I'll do an open mic for the FF14 guys as well, since I cover that game quite a bit on the channel now. Who knows, we'll see. But this was a good convo, and I will call it a night here. Have a good one, everybody. Have a good one.